protocols.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. This is becoming the familiar way to do things. So nice to see so many of you online. Those that have their cameras on, welcome. Those who have their cameras off, we know what you're doing. All right. So it's good to see you ahead of another week. It's quite remarkable, actually, that during a pandemic, we seem to be running a show every single week. I think we're busier than ever. I think the cards are stronger than ever. And I think the run-in till the end of the year is definitely the strongest I think we've seen for many, many years. Of course, just coming off the back of Conor Benn, and the week before that, history-making card with Katie Taylor. This Friday, of course, Daniel Jacobs against Gabe Rosado, and a great card underneath it from the Hard Rock Casino in Florida. And then, of course, next week we go into Billy Joe Saunders' defense of his WBO world middleweight title. Then we go into the unified heavyweight world champion, Anthony Joshua, against mandatory challenger Kubrat Pulev. And then another surprise coming later, probably with a record defense from Gennady Golovkin. And of course, already confirmed as well, December the 19th, Canelo Alvarez against Callum Smith. So it's a fantastic run into the final stage of this year from DAZN. And I'm looking forward to the card this weekend. I mean, we have a great card from top to bottom. I think one of the most exciting young fighters in the US at the moment, Nikita Ababi, is in a nice step up. A really interesting heavyweight fight, 2-0 against 8-0. Majidov, one of the standout heavyweights from the amateurs, of course, taking a big step up and moving very quickly in his career against Delgado, who's 8-0. Really good, interesting lightweight fight between Emmanuel Targo and Mason Menard. Anyone that's seen Mason Menard knows he's all action. I'm hearing a lot of good things from Peter Khan and Lou DiBella against Emmanuel Targo. Of course, he's highly ranked with a WBO, pushing on for that mandatory position. And then a great fight, big step up for what I feel is one of the best young talents in world boxing, in Olympic gold medalist Daniil Yelusinov against former unified world champion Julius Odongo, who broke the hearts on a Matchroom show when he beat Ricky Burns to unify the division, and of course fought Terence Crawford for the undisputed championship. And then I think a great matchup. I love a bit of bad blood. I love two characters and personalities, and Daniel Jacobs against Gabe Rosado is certainly that. You know, on paper, you expect Jacobs to try and come through this fight in style. I know Gabe Rosado's put everything into this camp. It's his last big roll of the dice. They don't like each other. There's a little bit of personal pride as well. It's Brooklyn against Philadelphia. And I think it will be a great fight, a great build-up this week. Plenty of spite in the action. And I'm looking forward to it. And I thought I'd come on here today to talk about the card and give you guys a chance to grill me for any other questions you might have. So over to Anthony and for the procedures for questions.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Donna first, please.
Hey, Eddie, how's it going?
Good, mate.
I was wondering, we just heard the news from the government that there will be people allowed up to 1,000 indoors at indoor arenas in the UK starting on December 1st in particular areas. Does that impact the AJ and Pulev fight? Are you looking to maybe get some fans into that event?
Well, certainly if it's possible. I mean, I think the big catch on that is the tier system. You know, and what will be what tier, where, how, and what qualifies for what. I mean, there is a chance they could put London straight into tier 3, which would mean we have no crowds. Obviously, if it falls into the tier 2 category, then we would be able to have 1,000 people at Wembley.
Have we lost Eddie?
Just yeah, his Wi-Fi may have just stalled.
Well, it was good while it lasted, boys.
It's coming back in, guys.
Just going back to the question, yes. Depending on what tier is what and what we're allowed, obviously we don't know if London's going to be put into tier 3, but certainly if we're allowed to, if Brent Council allow us, then yes, we'll be doing everything we can to get that 1,000 number into December 12th for AJ against Pulev.
Eddie, before I let you go, I wanted to ask one quick one. What is your take on the Tyson and Jones fight coming up this weekend? And I want to know, are you getting a piece of the action from Jake Paul fighting on that?
No, definitely not getting any action from Jake Paul. I don't know. I think it's hard to criticise people like Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. You know, I think they've done so much for the sport. I just feel that I like to remember those guys when they were young and at their best. You know, I just hope that it's not, you know, a sad spectacle. You know, hopefully they can just have a bit of fun with it, and I wish them all the best.
Thanks, Donna. Reggie next, please.
Hey, how you doing, Eddie?
I'm good, Reggie.
A quick question, just looking forward a little bit. I know, you know, great action this weekend, but you know, you've championed the value of DAZN to subscribers and whatnot. I just wondered, could you speak to, we're getting to the end of the year, if crowds can't make it back before spring and summer, you know, any concerns or thoughts on what you can achieve with next year's schedule?
Well, I think it's very challenging, Reggie. You know, I mean, look, we are going to be at the Alamo Dome, and we will have crowds for Canelo against Callum Smith. You know, if we can secure the Gennady Golovkin date, we may try and get crowds there as well. We're putting together at the moment a schedule where we don't have crowds, and I think we've got a model in place that means that elite boxing can continue. I mean, if you look at that sort of 1 month period of schedule on DAZN, obviously you have Jacobs Rosado this weekend, but you know, December 4th you have Billy Joe Saunders, December 12th you have Anthony Joshua, December 18th hopefully Gennady Golovkin against Zerameta, December 19th Canelo against Callum Smith, January the 2nd Ryan Garcia against Luke Campbell. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of action, you know, for obviously an annual subscription of less than $100 or even a monthly subscription of $19.99. I think you guys, you know, are having to shell out another $75 for Errol Spence against Danny Garcia. You know, you've just shed out $75 for Gervonta Davis against Leo Santa Cruz. And before that, you shed out $75 for Charlo. That's over 3 months. Now, that's $225. That's a huge amount of money. And you know, we get criticised all the time, Reggie, in the UK for $30, you know, for an AJ fight. So you guys have got it tough. I just feel that we got great momentum. Obviously, it was a huge catch making the Canelo Alvarez-Callum Smith fight on DAZN in December. And I think it gives us tremendous momentum going into the new year. But certainly when you look at fights that are scheduled for probably the first quarter, which is Chocolatito against Chocolatito against Estrada, for example, that's a fight that should be selling out the StubHub or the old, you know, StubHub Arena there in LA. It's a wonderful Californian fight night, or even in Phoenix, you know, it can sell out arena. Demetrius Andrade against Liam Williams in Providence. You know, we just did nearly 8,000 in Providence previously for the Selecki fight. And obviously the winner of Luke Campbell against Devin Haney, Luke Campbell against Ryan Garcia against Devin Haney. You know, if it was Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney against Ryan Garcia sells out the Staples Center. You know, if it's Luke Campbell, that fight sells out in the UK or possibly in Las Vegas. So we want the crowds back. You know, there's nothing like the feel of live crowds. But the good news is that we're sustaining a fantastic schedule and we're keeping the momentum of the sport regardless of no fans at the moment.
You think they need you down in Florida? Are you missing being there to add?
Yeah, I'm gonna come out. The main problem is the isolation, right? So when I come back to the UK at the moment, I have to isolate for 2 weeks, which means that I miss a number of events here, and pretty much would mean that I would miss the AJ fight, you know, which I can't do. But I will be coming to America for the Canelo-Callum Smith fight. They're actually reducing the quarantine down to 5 days from the middle of December. So that will help me greatly. And obviously it's Christmas as well. So that's a big fight for Matchroom being involved in that promotion. And obviously Callum Smith is our guy, and we've promoted him from his debut. So yeah, we'll be there. I miss it. You know, I miss it like crazy. I hate not being at shows, and this will be, I think, the third US show that I've not been at. And the guys have been doing a brilliant job over there, the USA team. it's not easy at the moment, not just with no crowds, but obviously the protocol, the testing, the keeping the fighters safe, and the team there have been doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. The boxing source next, please.
Yes, there, Eddie. Following up on these questions, how has it been going from, fight camp over the summer to booking these fights at these venues with no crowds and, working with people there within Metro Boxing USA? Like, have you gotten used to it? And how has it been as far as like not having fans in these venues?
Well, fight camp was something pretty spectacular. I was actually watching a fight back from fight camp last night, just thinking, wow, I can't even believe we did this. Like, it was a really unique environment. It is quite sterile in these venues. I've always tried to keep away from doing boxing in a studio because I don't feel like it gives you that big event feel. We've been in Wembley Arena, which is a huge arena. We've booked that out for the last 6 weeks. And in the US, we've been at the Hard Rock, who've done a great job with our team there to make sure that, at least you're in a big arena. It feels like a big event. It is difficult. It's interesting that all the fighters I've been speaking to are all saying the same thing, which is it hasn't felt any different. Sometimes I don't believe them when they say that, but I've enjoyed as a purist being part of the production of these events to bring the fans something different. You hear a lot more of the shots. You hear the interaction of the corner team and the fighter. You can hear the referee. You can hear the fighters breathing at times, but nothing will ever take away, the thrill and the buzz and the excitement and the energy of a live crowd. So I hope that, it's going to be, I'm very excited about going to Texas and seeing live crowds back. Obviously, I saw it for the Santa Cruz fight with Gervonta Davis, and, you get jealous. And we seem to be on the verge here in the UK of bringing a small number of fans back. And we hope that escalates, through a reduction in the numbers, but ultimately through a vaccine, I guess, is when the government's going to be in a strong position and a comfortable position in the UK to let fans return as, in full.
Thank you very much, Eddie.
Hi, Eddie. Thanks so much for taking time to talk to us. Obviously, there's been a lot of changes in the way people promote these fights during the pandemic. So how much have you been kind of taking the lessons that you've learned from promoting in the UK and in the US with no fans and kind of taking that into these upcoming Canelo Callum Smith fight? And how much do you kind of look towards that fight with fans and think of it as some sort of blueprint for when you're going to be able to do more shows with fans in the future in 2021?
Well, Carlos, we've learned a lot because, we've had to adapt and we've had to think outside the box. Every time that you make a major fight, Canelo against Callum Smith is a good example. You bring the fighters together, you do a multi-city press tour, you bring all you guys out, we get a load of action, loads of footage, and we can drive a lot of hype. And obviously now we're geared more towards the digital side and the tech side, which is, stuff like this, but also about content, and working harder to engage the fans with shoulder programming and digital content as well. And we've got a lot of that dropping over the next couple of weeks with Canelo and Callum Smith. There is no doubt, there is no question that a lot of the key moments have been taken away from the promotion of the show. Like I said, that initial start of the press conference, the weigh-in, where you can get live crowds in, open workouts. Every Canelo Alvarez fight has a traditional sort of welcoming ceremony and the arrivals coming into MGM there. And those kind of events are big spectacles to really drive the interest of the event. So we've been learning a lot. The main challenge now is when we're dealing with venues or, in America's case, states that will allow fans back. It's not just, they'll allow fans, just throw them in the arena. There's a method to it. There is safety elements to it. This has to be policed by our security team to make sure that there is social distancing. Obviously, with the Alamo Dome, you're going to have around 11,000, 12,000 people in a huge arena. But, it's our job to make sure that we enforce the plan, that it's safe for fans, because, we do know that it is dangerous right now, certainly to contract this disease. And we have to make sure that we do everything we can. It's not just a case of bringing people back. It's a case of bringing them back safely. And that's what we're working hard to do with the states and the commissions as well. But it is important to start making those moves to bring fans back, because I don't think that there is sustainability for everyone in the sport without fans, you know, especially the smaller hall shows. You know, the small hall and almost what you guys call like the club fighting scene is really driven by ticket sales and fighters selling their 200, 300 tickets to pay for their purses and enable them to get on. Right now, that scene over here, and especially with you guys as well, isn't thriving, you know, because it's very costly for promoters to continue running those shows. So we've learned a huge amount, and it's been really interesting. I mean, you know, painful at times, but I think it's going to put us in a good position when we have normality back and we can use the information that we've learned during this and the ways that we've changed promoting. And, you know, like I said, combine that with the return of live crowds. And I think when we come through this, we'll be in a much stronger position.
Thanks, Eddie.
Hey, Eddie. Thank you for taking the time to talk. I hope all is well. Kind of looking at the current situation. Sorry to beat a dead drum. Obviously, with the current situation in the U.S., numbers are skyrocketing. I know that Florida and Texas are allowing fans to come back into attendance, but does that put you in an ethical dilemma of, is it in the best interest to do that, considering the CDC is saying that, hey, don't get together in large groups? How do you work with that?
I think we follow the rules, firstly. I mean, you know, when you talk about morally and ethically, you can't do that without the science and the information, and everybody will make their own decision. It goes back to my comments to Carlos. You know, it's not just, oh, we need fans back, you know, let's just bring everybody together. We're working diligently with the state and with the Athletic Commission to ensure that is done in a safe way. Obviously, the Aladino Dome is a huge arena. You know, one thing I think that you saw too much of in, you know, and this is putting pressure on myself and my team in the Santa Cruz fight, was everyone came together. You know, there needs to be a stricter policy in place where, you know, we will be presenting to the state and the commission and our security team.
I'm in a conflict right now, but hopefully by the time we're done, we can get it closed.
Okay.
Yes, you know, why not, right?
Right. Thank you.
Sitting right there.
All right. Thank you, man.
Jose, turn your phone off, mate. Come on, get it on mute. And, you know, we will be presenting to them Jose, come on, Jose, put your phone on mute. Jose, come on. All right, anyway. We will be presenting to them a safe plan, you know, to do it. We have our experts, we have our medical experts on the team. Ultimately, the state will make their decision. And, you know, again, it will be making sure that it's in the best interest and the safety of the spectators as well. But I'm definitely of the fact of we've waited a long time. You know, we could have brought fans back in September. You know, we could have, when we did Estrada Cuadras, when we did Chocolatito, when we did Julio Cesar Martinez, we could have done that in Texas. But we chose to do that in TV studios in Azteca because we just felt that we weren't ready to go through the process. The blueprint has been done. Not saying it was perfect, but, you know, PBC made that move with Santa Cruz and Tank, and we have to keep that momentum going now. But it does have to be safe for the people that are attending.
Thank you, Eddie.
Matt from Behind the Gloves, please.
Hi, Eddie. It's Matt from Behind the Gloves.
Oh,
what I wanted to know is, have you had a response from the government with the letter that you sent in relation to grassroots boxing? And also, what type of impact do you think that funding will have on the communities in this country?
So the answer is no, initially. I don't really expect one at the moment. I think I'll do everything I can to help, but obviously England Boxing are behind this, they're pushing this, they're driving this, and that's the authority that's going to provide a blueprint for the funding to funnel down to the community. So, you know, it's very easy for me to come in and say, yeah, you should be giving money to clubs. And then the government says, okay, so how does that work? We need, you know, a public body like England Boxing that will enable that system to work. What I'm trying to do is create awareness and get some momentum. You know, I'm always baffled by the lack of funding that goes into boxing clubs within the community. And this isn't about, you see, and when the bill came out of the rescue fund for sports, and they're giving 135 million to rugby and 40 million to horse racing and 6 million to motorsport. All sport is great, but those sports, you can't even compare the impact they have with the next generation and the community to what boxing does. But the problem is, and it's not an attack on politicians, but they're so far removed from that side of the community. And, we all are like, maybe if I wasn't involved with boxing, I wouldn't have a clue what boxing does at grassroots level. But anyone that does understand boxing, anyone that's seen it with their own eyes, knows that it ticks so many boxes for the British government. Like, even if you don't like boxing, even if you think it's brutal, you look at the government policies and what we're trying to do right now in this country is tackle obesity, within younger people. Box ticked. It's improved mental health. Box ticked. It's reduced gang crime and knife crime. Box ticked. But more importantly, it instills discipline, manners, respect into that younger generation. So this is much deeper than sport. This is trying to improve our country. So I feel that if people understood, if people went, if people spoke to people, if people saw it with their own eyes, there is no way you couldn't provide funding for boxing clubs in the community. But the frustrating thing is, these guys, they don't understand and they don't visit and they don't know. So I don't know whether they'll do anything. I do believe there is another round of support coming for sports, but it's difficult for them because everybody's asking, and that's what I said, in my letter, it's been difficult to keep boxing going at the elite level. We're not asking for any help. We'll be okay. The community clubs won't. They're closing down. They won't reemerge. We're all creatures of habit, right? If you're a young kid and you've been going boxing every week for the last 3 years, and then all of a sudden you don't go for 8 months, you fade away, So it's really important to not just bring this sport back, but make sure these clubs can have the opportunity to keep thriving and keep doing a remarkable job in the community, because they all really do serve a very special purpose.
Brilliant. Thanks, Eddie.
Hey, Eddie, how you doing?
Hey, Danny.
It's Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce on Saturday, the night after your show. I just wanted to get A prediction from you, and B, where does the winner sit in that long queue to face AJ?
Firstly, it's a good fight. I mean, and an interesting fight. I think that the problem is with Joe Joyce is you watch Joe Joyce and you say he's absolutely terrible, right? But obviously he's not. He's extremely fit. He's extremely durable. But I keep going back to the fact that he gets hit a lot, and he got hurt badly to the body by Bryant Jennings, in the opening stage of that fight. And Daniel Dubois clearly hits very hard. So I think Joe's got to be careful in the early stages of the fight. They're both, certainly Dubois is a complete novice, really, in the heavyweight division. And Joe is as well, but Joe is obviously more experienced, especially through his experience of the WSB. So I guess the sensible thing is Dubois early or Joyce to weather the storm and, not expose him, because I think Dubois can fight, but, just sort of outlast him, if you like. There is the sort of comparison between Dubois and maybe an early AJ, where they're strong and muscular, and in time, as AJ has done, he's learned that actually it's better to be a little leaner and concentrate on your boxing more than just your strength. I think if you ask me to have a bet, I think I back Dubois for stoppage within 6 rounds. But I wouldn't be surprised if Joyce can weather that early storm. But he's got to be careful, because all these guys can punch, and Dubois can definitely punch. So Joe, you saw even against, who was it for? Wallach, in his last fight, and he got hit a lot in that fight. So I'm not sure. It's an interesting fight. In terms of where they sit, the winner will be British and European champion. I think that's about right with the level they're at the moment. I think both can go on and be world champion contenders, but they've definitely got a few more wins to rack on the resume to start fighting for world titles. Although, the winner could end up fighting Usyk for a vacant world title. So interested to see what happens in that one on Saturday.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, Danny. YSM Sports next, but let's keep these next three brief and quick if we can, as Eddie can then introduce Danny Jacobs.
Eddie, how's it going?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, you tried to negotiate Callum Smith versus Canelo in previous years. You were unsuccessful. Why was it so easy to make now?
Well, easy is the wrong word. It was definitely one of the hardest deals I've ever had to put together because, firstly, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and the revenue from the gate just isn't there. So that makes it very hard straight away. Then you had obviously the legal situation with Canelo and Golden Boy and DAZN, and the separation of those three entities. So my plan and my strategy was to, first and foremost, make the fight for my guy who, we've had since his professional debut. He's become the world champion, the Ring Magazine champion. I wanted to give him a career-defining fight, a legacy fight, and the one is Canelo Alvarez. And, I needed to try and also, if I could make that happen and bring Canelo back to DAZN, it would be a huge statement. It would be huge for the platform. It would be huge for Callum Smith. It would be huge for boxing to bring arguably the biggest name in the sport back into action at the back end of the year. So it was really difficult, really difficult. And there was plenty of times where I just thought, this isn't going to happen. This isn't going to happen. And we hung in there. And, Canelo's going to make his own decisions, as a lot of these big stars do. And when he put out the social media post to say that he's going to be announcing his opponent at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we sort of all spoke to each other and said, well, we hope that's us. Because that morning we didn't have a deal, we didn't have a contract. We still had a lot to discuss. But it was obviously a good move by Canelo because we moved very quickly to get it over the line. And we actually completed the deal and signed the contracts 10 minutes before the announcement. So I'm really, really pleased with that. It's we've been looking for a major fight for Matchroom to stage for a long time in the US. And, I can't lie, it's been more difficult than I thought it would be. And I still feel like we've done a great job. And I still feel like DAZN has hands down the best schedule in US boxing. But this is a major, 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 major coup. Major coup. But, as great as it is to bring Canelo back to DAZN, I'm rooting for our guy Callum Smith, for the win. And I have to respect Canelo Alvarez incredibly because he just wants to fight the champions. He could have made the same money taking an easier fight. Last year he boxed Danny Jacobs for the IBF middleweight championship. He boxed Crusher Kovalev for the WBO light heavyweight championship. And now his next fight, he's fighting Callum Smith for the WBA and Ring super middleweight championship. So this is great to see.
Okay, thanks, Eddie. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Marcos next, please.
Hey, Eddie. How's it going?
Hi, Marcos.
Hey, I got some quickies here. First off, where is Golovkin going to be fighting?
There will be an announcement later today.
Okay, so you can't say anything before the announcement.
It won't be in Texas.
It won't be in Texas.
No.
Okay. The other thing is, because you're more privy to these details with Canelo, is this a one-off with Canelo? Did he sign a new deal with DAZN, a multi-fight deal with DAZN? What's going on with that? Because there hasn't.
This is a one-fight deal at the moment, and obviously, look, on the two hats on, with my Matchroom boxing hat on and my heart, we're looking for a Callum Smith victory, and obviously, if that's the case, there'll probably be a Callum Smith Canelo 2 fight with a DAZN hat on. If Canelo Alvarez wins that fight, then we'll be looking to make the fight with Billy Joe Saunders or Triple G in May. So I think there's a steady flow of fights for Canelo Alvarez on DAZN. There wasn't enough time, and I'm not sure he wanted to do it, to be honest with you, to pen a multi-fight deal with only probably we had 4.5 weeks or 5 weeks till the Callum Smith fight. So we were happy, DAZN were happy to start that relationship afresh, if you like, for Matchroom to prove ourselves to Canelo Alvarez, ticking the boxes of getting our guy the biggest fight that we possibly could for his career in Callum Smith. So everyone's really happy at the moment, and hopefully it's the start of a long and successful process.
So he's not exclusive to DAZN right now?
Only for this fight.
Only for this fight.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's going on with Andrade?
So he was due to fight Dusty Harrison. He got COVID. We looked at some replacements for Demetrius, and to be honest, he just said, "Look, I just want to be in big fights now, in great fights." So, you know, he's looking for that standout fight. He wants the Billy Joe Saunders fight, and I think if Billy Joe Saunders doesn't get Canelo Alvarez in May, it will be Andrade against Saunders, probably up at 168. But he also has a mandatory challenger against Liam Williams. So that's who he will fight next, Liam Williams, subject to Andrade landing a major fight. And that will be in February, hopefully with crowds back in Providence.
Thank you, Eddie.
No worries, mate.
Okay, and I have Daniel Jacobs here. Anyone?
Oh, okay.
How you doing, champ?
Hey, what's up, boss man? How you doing?
Oh, mate, I'm missing you. I can't. This is killing me having to watch on TV.
No, it's all good. I just want to make sure you're safe, buddy.
All good, mate. Just before we go to the guys for questions, just looking fresh, mate. You're looking fresh. This is the first fight you've had in a long time. I know we had a little bit of spite at the Canelo Alvarez weigh-in, but this has been bubbling nicely for a long time and must have driven you hard in camp to, put a beating on this guy on Saturday night.
100%. No, I'm definitely looking forward to this one. It's a special one.
Obviously, big fights all around. You know, Gennady Golovkin coming back, Canelo Alvarez fighting Callum Smith as well. For you, important to make a statement. You know, great fight, great atmosphere against Chavez, but important to make a statement before you try and become a two-weight world champion at 168 pounds in 2021.
100%. I think with every fight at this level of my career needs to be a statement. And me wanting to be a Hall of Famer fighter one day before I retire, I have to go through the likes of all the guys that are super middleweight kings. Gabe Rosado is a personal grudge match. I won't count this as a stepping stone, but at the same time, I do need to look impressive. I do need to be spectacular. And I do, if I don't get the knockout, I need to at least dominate this guy every round because he's not in the caliber of a guy that the public thinks, I need to be in that represents, the top tiers of the super middleweight division.
Why is this?
Thank you, Daniel. And we're going to go to the guys on Zoom for questions. Anthony?
Corner man, first question, please.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I have just one question for Danny. Danny, there's a lot of bad blood, building up to this fight. A lot of speculation between you guys. What's the odds that after this fight, you guys, after settling your differences in the ring, you guys shake hands and just move forward as, gentlemen of the sport?
I mean, it's very possible. I mean, I don't hate any man. I mean, life is too good for me to want to hate a guy for the rest of my life. And then my focus is not on having a personal relationship afterwards where, I can say I hate this guy. So men settle their differences like men. And the fact that we're fighters, we're going to do it inside the ring, which makes the most sense. So that's where we're going to end it.
All right, Chad. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Danny. John here from Pro Boxing Fans. One question for you and one for Eddie, pretty much the same question. The way you've come back from, your tough story that you've had and the way you've responded, I just want to know sort of how you reflect on that as a fighter and a person, and perhaps Eddie as the promoter, like what you've made of Danny's story and return.
Well, I mean, I think that it's a sheer blessing that I can be at this point in my life, not only career, but in my life to have a second opportunity to live and to thrive and, to have a successful career. And so the opportunities that I continually have, I'm grateful for, but I have an amazing team. And, I put in the work as well to make sure that we always can have these opportunities to be a household name, to be a future world champion, class division world champion. And for my team, they're just making sure they're putting that support behind me to make sure that I get these opportunities, such as the one that I have now and, in the near future going against the top tiers of the super middleweight division.
Yeah, for me, Jonathan, I mean, some people may know, some people might not, but Danny was actually the first fighter we ever signed in the US, and I remember meeting him there at the what used to be the Trump Hotel at the time with his manager, who's become a great friend, Keith Connolly. And, I wanted to make a statement with Danny Jacobs. He helped us get a deal initially with HBO. He came with us and took the punt with us to DAZN. and we delivered him the biggest fight in boxing. You know, that didn't work out, but we had a plan to return to the super middleweight division. He did that against Chavez. Now he fights Rosado. The story is fantastic. And, you know, again, not a lot of people will know, I was there the night that he boxed Dimitri Pirog. I was actually there as a fan, just in Vegas, you know, and I remember watching that fight and the way he's come back from that, you know, with the Quillen victory and, of course, the Gennady Golovkin fight, which he definitely could have won that fight, you know, when you look back at the Derevenchenko win, that win looks better and better, you know, as time goes on. So I really see him as a guy, but ever since I've been involved, the story's been great, but now it's really about cementing the legacy, not just as, you know, a cancer survivor, but as a multi-weight world champion. And I think that's important to Dan as well. I think he wants to motivate people, and we all want to tell his story because it's incredible and it's uplifting. But I think as well, he has a real drive to create a legacy in the sport as a champion. And I've always felt that 168 was his division. You know, even when I see him, you know, I didn't know him too well and I'd see him make weight, I feel like you'd be a beast at 168. And I think it's going to take time. And I think the Chavez was the first one. And I think he'll look great on Friday night as well. And then, you know, then he's the next step after this. There's no more intermediary fights. It's Billy Joe Saunders, you know, it's Callum Smith. It could be Gennady Golovkin again. It could be Canelo again, you know, but that's the fights for Daniel Jacobs beyond this fight. This is something that I think is a really interesting fight. It's a fun fight, but he's the favourite to win this fight. He's just got to do that in style to put out a message to the rest of the division.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Danny, Steven Cordeño with KOR Sports. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Good. On Saturday night, do you feel any pressure to maybe make it a spectacular performance to get your name, you know, back in the mix with, you know, Canelo, Callum Smith, Bivol, Plant? You know, obviously your name's kind of right around there already, but, you know, do you need the performance to be great to then kind of force these guys to start talking about you again?
Well, Saturday night, hopefully I'll be around my friends watching the Mike Tyson fight. But Friday night...
Friday, sorry.
No, it's all good. Friday night, I definitely... I feel like it's important to always look spectacular. You always have to send a message with your performance, whether it's to the fans, that you're still relevant, that you're still one of the top players in the game, and also to, you know, my peers in the boxing game. You know, the super middleweight division is a new division for me, so... I need to come in and make a statement regardless to who I'm in there with. I think Gabe Rosado is maybe not the most skillful fighter or respected fighter in terms of being the top tiers of the division. So if I would do anything else other than have a spectacular performance, I think it would do, it wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be great for my career. But like I said before, every time I'm in there with a fight, I want to make a statement.
That was actually my quick follow-up. Did you ever think you'd be fighting on the fight week of your Brownsville brother there, Mike Tyson?
Wow, it's so crazy, right? It's awesome. It's pretty cool, but it's a blessing to be able to follow in the footsteps of guys like Mike Tyson and all the Brooklyn Knights that paved the way for me. So us to be on the same fights, the same weekend where I get to perform first and then, you know, have the OG take over. I think it'll be a performance for a lifetime for me, but also to see him back at it would be a great thing. So I'm just excited to be around in boxing and be doing what I love to do.
Thank you, Danny. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Danny Ford here from Viper Sport. Just a quick one. We'll follow up with the Mike Tyson question there. How do you see it going on Saturday, and what's your thoughts of him fighting at this age?
Well, I mean, I always got to go with my Brooklyn Knights, and Mike Tyson is one of my favorite fighters of all time. He's probably the most inspirational fighter that's been in boxing for me, being that we come from the same roots and have a lot of the same different experiences coming from the same neighborhood. So I love Mike. I'm going to always support Mike, but Roy Jones was one of my favorite fighters of all time. So it's kind of like a bittersweet moment, but I look forward to seeing Mike being victorious. I just hope none of the guys get hurt. I know they're up there in age and I just want to see a good fight, but, you know, I also want to see them come out unscathed.
For sure. And now, look, you're fighting at a time where all the super middleweights are fighting in and around the same time. I know you want that second world title. Who are you keeping your eye on the most, and for what reason exactly?
I wouldn't say it's one in particular fighter that I'm keeping my eye on the most. I would say it's everyone. And then the landscape of boxing, sometimes a win or a loss kind of puts you in a situation to where you have to kind of see what's out there or settle for the winner or the loser. So I'm worried about Friday night, obviously, but after Friday night, seeing how the landscape goes into 2021, we're going to take it from there. But I'm going to be extremely ready for whatever comes my way, and I look forward to being a super middleweight champion.
Thank you so much, brother. All the best on Friday night.
Thank you.
Reggie next, please.
What's good, Danny?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
I'm all right. How important is it for you to, rough year? This allows you to get a fight in the calendar year. How important is it for you to get this action and then set up what you like to get done in 2021?
I think it's critical. I'm fortunate enough to be one of the fighters who actually can fight in 2020, because a lot of fighters, including top tier fighters, haven't had an opportunity to fight this year because of the pandemic. So I've been fortunate enough to have a team to where we can, end this year with a fight and go into 2021 with that experience, maybe getting the rust out from not being in the ring for almost a year. And then I can be super ready for these top guys in the division. But I'm just, like I said before, I'm thankful for my team for allowing me to have this opportunity.
I caught you on the Akim Barak show. They mentioned doing a post weigh-in interview. You weren't looking so good going into the fight with Canelo. Weight was probably bothering you. Some of us guys get on here with our articles about you not being able to rise to the moment, but we don't know the backstory.
Right,
so how's the engine feeling, in case you need to really step on the gas Friday night at this weight?
Well, at this point, I feel like there is going to be no preventions from me being my 100% best. I've always said that the weight was an issue, especially when we came to the Canelo fight, which was the biggest fight, and we had the weight stipulations that was against us. That made it extremely hard for me to be 100% comfortable inside that ring. And it showed. I think anybody that knows Daniel Jacobs at his best can see how he performs at his best. And I didn't get a chance to do that. Having an opportunity to be at super middleweight, my first fight was with Chavez. You've seen the results to that. You see how snappy I was, how elusive I was, how strong I was. And, just me putting my best foot forward and being at my very best. You've seen that. And now this is going to be a continuation of that. Just me having no excuses whatsoever, because there's no stipulations now that I can make the weight, now I can be 100%. Now I'm going to go into each fight 100% confident, and you're going to be able to see my best version. So moving forward, you're going to see a lot of performances like the Chavez and better.
All right, best of luck to you, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Boxing Source, please.
Hey there, Daniel. This is Jared Bell of the Boxing Source. What's going on?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Doing good. I know that you have this fight here on Friday, but next year you had the potential of being in position to fight for a world title, and you're highly ranked in the WBO. So what about a potential fight between you and Billy Joe Saunders for that WBO championship? How would that look?
I think it looks fantastic. It's definitely appealing to me. I think it's a fight that could be made easily. But I've been calling Billy Joe out for some time now. And so hopefully we're in this position to where if we both can win our fights, that's a strong possibility for us to go into the near future. It only makes sense, didn't catch him at middleweight. Hopefully I can catch him at super middleweight. But my whole main focus is to be a 2-division world champion and future Hall of Famer. So the fact that I have options and opportunities to fight other fighters, if one fighter don't want to fight or if something falls through, I'm just very fortunate to have these opportunities. But I do think a Billy Joe Saunders fight makes sense.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Danny. This is Jeremy Harridges with Fansided.com. I was talking to Gabe Rosado a couple weeks ago, and he sourced the bad blood between you two to an incident that happened.
I think I've seen that interview.
Yeah, that happened in 2018 at the Cosmopolitan, leading up to the Triple G Canelo rematch, he said. Do you have any recollection of that? And I was interested to hear your side of the events that may have transpired.
Well, I mean, I've said it so many times, but it's basically, generally, I just think it was one of those situations where he had said some things that he was physically going to do to me if he ever seen me in person. And so I seen him in person and gave him the opportunity to do just that. And his energy wasn't the same. And so I kind of questioned him, why he make those statements. And overall, it was just pretty much to get a fight. So I respect any fighter who could be honest, but I can't respect a fighter who is saying disrespectful things to me as a man. And so this is why this fight is being made, because of some of his past comments and the blatant disrespect that I've been taking, over the years, honestly. And he's a peer of mine since the amateurs into the professional ranks. And so I've always said that his career didn't go the way that he planned. And my career has gone exactly how I wanted to go, with the minor setbacks. But, it's just, I think he's bitter. And, now he has an opportunity to get everything that he wanted. And boxing is one of those sports to where, you can have a crappy career, your whole entire career, but one fight can actually change you and catapult you into being a superstar. And this is his opportunity. And so he's talked his way into this opportunity. But at the same time, how I'm looking at it is just, giving a man his words to eat and allowing him to know that there's different levels, and I'm not non-deserving of this opportunity or the push that I've had throughout my career, and more so just to put a little bit more respect when you speak it.
Thank you, Danny, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Cynthia, please.
Hey, Danny, Cynthia Conte from Ring TV. I just wanted to piggyback off of Jeremy's question, because he basically had almost the same question I had. But going back to that incident, I did speak with him the other day, and he said that he just doesn't like you as a person. Was there any other incident before that you guys had any kind of bad blood or something happen? Or was it just basically your guys' come up and he didn't come up the way he was expecting?
I really don't know why he has so much hate for me in his heart, but when you're a hater, you create any reasons to hate somebody. And when you see someone who you think you're supposed to be on that same level, having the success that you desire and you want, and you can't get it, whether it's because, you don't have the same skill set, or you're not winning fights, or you're just whatever you are. I can't speak for it because I'm not a hater, I can't speak on how a hater mentality thinks. I'm one who congratulates. I'm one who supports anybody in the sport of boxing. And so if I have someone that I want to fight, it's not going to be because, they got the push that I didn't get. It's going to be mainly because I want to be in a position to be a champion. And if they're preventing me from being a champion, then I want to fight you in order to be a champ. But it is not simply because, you've gotten a push that I didn't get, and I'm fighting you because the system didn't, push me the same way. And I took my extensive, successful amateur background has allowed me from the very start to get the push from the Al Haymans of the world and the Golden Boys of the world and the Zones of the world and the Matchrooms of the world. So I purposely put in the work as an amateur to be able to obtain the success early on in my career. And people had high hopes for my career. And my career went exactly how people with minor setbacks, people predicted this for my career because of the hard work that I put in. So it's not non-deserving. And when you have a guy who says all of this, he's not getting the fair share, he's not getting that, maybe you didn't do what you needed to do. And I put in that work since I was 14 years old. I made all the necessary sacrifices. I didn't have a teenage life. I didn't go to parties. I didn't deal with girls. I knew that if I sacrificed all my life as a kid, that I would have a successful pro debut. My whole idea was to be like Andre Ward when he came out of the Olympics with a gold medal. That was always my dream. I always wanted to have that gold medal going into the pro ranks and being that superstar. So it was something that I worked hard for. And so his career didn't shape up to be that. And now he's jealous and saying that the system is against him and that, he isn't getting the same push. But you got to understand, you can't hate on somebody who's put in that work. You can't hate on somebody who is humble enough to say, hey, my brother, I have nothing against you, but at the same time, I'm just doing me. And what I'm doing is putting me in a position to be successful, to have the HBOs and to have the Showtimes and all these DAZNs and all these different networks be interested in me because, you know, I put in that work. It's not non-deserving, you know? So I can't speak for a hater. I can only speak for myself. And, you know, much success to anybody who is doing anything in this boxing world, because it takes a hell of a man to put on 2 pair of gloves and go in there and risk your life for a paycheck.
Okay, and last question. If you could describe yourself in one word and also Gabe Rosado in one word, what would it be?
Well, if I could describe myself in one word, it'll be miracle. I mean, obviously having a second chance at life and being able to strive, and I'd gained all the success and lost it and had to gain it again. I mean, people really don't understand just the roller coaster in which my life it details. Like, I've been through a lot, you know? And so for someone to say that it's non-deserved, it's like injustice, man. And that's why I really want him to eat his words, because he don't know in how depth his words strike when he say the things that he says, because I know exactly the hardship that I had to go through to get to the position that I'm at. He's talking like he's had a hard life. No, my brother, I had a hard life too. I come from the trenches. You know, I come from the dirt, and I fought my way out, and I fought to be in this position. And so he's going to eat his words. So if I can explain him in one word, hater.
Best of luck to you, Jacob. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt next, please.
Matt from Behind the Gloves. I just wanted to know, you've mentioned a few times you want to make him eat his words. Now, does that mean that you have to win this fight by knockout to be satisfied?
No, I mean, I just want to beat him up. You know, I just want to hear when I hit him with a body shot, him cringe, or, I mean, we know he's a bleeder, so I look forward to, you know, his trunks being stained, my trunks being stained full of his blood, and I'm going to hang it up in somewhere in somewhere in my house with a plaque. You know, that's going to make me satisfied, because I know the pain that I'm going to put this man through because of some of the hateful things that he said for me throughout the years. And so this is the only way a fighter could get that revenge. This is the only way 2 men who are boxers get there and settle their debts.
Just one more from me. Providing you do get the win on Friday night, what's your ideal scenario? Is it the winner of, say, Canelo and Smith? Where do you want to go? If you could choose, what's the route?
Well, I mean, if I can choose, man, it's just anybody with the belt. I just want to be a 2-time world champion. You know, I have the team. Keith Connolly's my manager. You know, he's the best manager in the game. I assure you that I'm going to set myself up in a position to get an opportunity to fight for a belt. And the landscape of the super middleweight division is amazing. I think that, you know, winner or loser of the Callum Smith fight is an opportunity. Billy Joe Saunders is an opportunity. I've been calling out, you know, Jamal Charlo for years now. So these are all fights that could be made. And I look forward for my team to make the right decisions for me. At the same time, we have options, and that's the beautiful thing about this situation.
Cheers, and good luck Friday, Danny.
Thank you.
YSM, please.
Hi, Danny. How's it going?
Good, thank you.
What skills or abilities does Gabriel Rosado possess that could possibly make this a difficult fight?
You're making me think on this one. I mean, boxing is a very unpredictable sport. And there's been times that I've actually went into a fight thinking that one fighter was going to offer something different, or, you know, something what I'm used to or what we trained for from his past fights. And then he gave me a completely different fight. And so, you know, you always just have to be professional and you have to adjust. And so if there's a situation in this fight where I need to adjust, I think I'll do just that. But I don't know if I'll see a different Gabe Rosado. You know, I know he says he has Freddie Roach in his corner, and he vows that he's going to do things differently like he hasn't been doing before. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's that easy to change your whole style or to teach your old dog new tricks. I really don't know. And it's not like, you know, you cannot polish. You maybe be a little bit more polished, but I feel like we've seen the best Gabe Rosado. But as a professional, I think it's my job to train and be ready for anything. And that's where the respect lies. Me training 100% to be ready for whatever Gabe Rosado shows up.
Thanks, Danny. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, Danny, how's it going?
Good, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Hey, I saw you, gulping some water. We're a few days away from the fight. I would imagine being at this new weight, it's so much more. You don't have to constantly think about wait, and you're able to take the water that otherwise you wouldn't be drinking because you're having to cut to weight. Talk to me about physically, how good of a feeling is it to be at a weight where you could be a little bit more, you could take in a little bit more food and drink a little bit more water during these weeks?
Well, I just think it takes the stress off of not, focusing 100% solely on the fight. And when you're training for a fighter, especially at this level, we're at a level where we have to be extremely focused for the fight. You can't slack, you can't, be unfocused. You have to go in there with a clear mind. And I think the fact that 85% of my camps have been based off of just training and to lose the weight. Now we're at a position to where we don't really have to focus on the losing weight part. We can focus on polishing up our skills, specifically training for a fighter and their bad habits to be successful. And I think we're doing just that. So yes, I'm a little bit more vibrant. I'm definitely able to take a lot more water and food. It's unheard of for me to even eat on the weigh-in or the day before the weigh-in, which I look for and, for the rest of my career.
It leads me to something that I've talked to you before in the past. You've mentioned because of the weight cut, it's affected you at times in fights. Are you expecting that much more out of you now at 168, to be able to get more out of your body in these bigger caliber fights when they do come?
100%. 100%. And I think that if you're depleted, I don't think you can give that extra oomph that you need to when it's time to get down and dirty and gritty. I think in order to bring out the dog in the fighter, if you need to be able to have the nutrition to be able to properly go out and give it a good go. So for me, not knowing, or not that it's not knowing, but knowing that that's not a problem, I can go in there confidently. And if I need to tap in, I can tap in confidently. So.
Good stuff, Danny. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Danny, good morning. Gail Falkenthal, apologies for the dog. She gets excited when she hears champions talk. She is a boxer.
That's awesome.
She is the boxer after all. So that's
awesome.
That's her thing. I believe this has been the longest layoff of your pro career. Is that correct? I mean, by just a little bit.
My manager's right here. Is this the longest layoff that we had?
Except for the cancer.
Oh, except for the cancer that I had. But yeah.
Right. Aside from that.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's a long time between fights, and you've had to cope with pandemic conditions all that time. Yeah. So how have you stayed in shape, kept focused, prepared, and are you at all concerned about any ring rust?
Well, yeah, I'm not going to lie. 100%. I am worried a little bit about ring rust because obviously during this pandemic, me being based in Atlanta, the cases were really, really spiking high. And it was a worry to even come outside. And so the first half of the pandemic, I didn't really get the best training. I made training camp in my home and did the best that I can do on my own. But obviously you need a training team to be able to give the proper boxing training. And so we didn't get that to, I would probably say the second half. And then we made sure that we had 11, 12 week of camp so we can try to get the rust out. But, you never know until you actually go inside the ring and you perform. So I think Gabe Rosado is the perfect fighter to fight coming out of this pandemic. I mean, no excuses. For me, I know I have to still go in there and be professional and look my best and give it my best. But at the same time, the world affects a fighter, especially in these conditions, and you have to be realistic. And, kudos to all the fighters out there who are going through this pandemic and taking fights and still, giving it their best. I respect all of them, and I respect everyone who puts their pair of gloves on and risk their lives. But, my situation is a little bit different. I really didn't have the best training that I could possibly have, but I've 100% confident in the 11-12 week camp that I had leading up into this camp. And it's been one of the best camps that I've had. And so we took every proper precaution to where we didn't get, COVID, or we stayed away from potential threats, or just in general, we made sure we was precautious. And so I look forward to coming and Friday night being victorious.
Good luck to you. Thanks so much for giving up your Thanksgiving weekend for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you.
Hey, Danny, John here, Pro Boxing fans. One more question we've obviously mentioned potential future fights with Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith. With Callum Smith facing Canelo, what do you think he has to do to beat Canelo, and what have you learned from that defeat that you're taking into Friday night?
What I've learned from that fight that I'm taking into Friday night, I've already done, and that's move up to the super middleweight division. I think I wasn't able to be my 100% self or be able to give it the best go that I could because of the weight clause and the weight restrictions that I had, on top of already having a hard time with making the middleweight division. Now that I'm extremely fit, I don't have weight as an issue anymore. I'm super hydrated, and I only have the fight to worry about. I think it's going to be different every time out. From my performances, you're going to see a different Danny Jacobs. And, people even predicted that me moving up and fighting Chavez, that I wasn't going to be the same because of my past performances. And, Marco can tell you, there was a lot of people who predicted that Chavez was going to beat me. But at the same time, I knew that there's a certain level of fighter that lives within me, that if I'm 100% with no restrictions on me, that I can be at my very best and I can give it a good go. And you've seen what Chavez quit on the stool. And so I'm excited to be able to continue my performances like that, but continue to be better. I have a new trainer now, Faris Ahmad. This is our third fight together. And he's an OG of the game. So, he's a former fighter as well. He trained the Army team on USA Boxing. So he's very knowledgeable of the game. And so we've come up with a great, not only plan for boxing, but during my off days too, or during my time where I'm not actually boxing, he comes to Atlanta, we train together. So he's a very active trainer. And I think that's key and critical for me at this point in my career, to be able to have a trainer that's so heavily involved in me and heavily into my training and, just my techniques and the skill set. But I know I'm going overboard with it, but at the same time, it's but to answer your first question, what does Caleb has to do? I just think he has to create a great game plan in order to beat Canelo. He has a lot of advantages, but the main disadvantage is probably be the experience. And so sometimes fighters who are in a new situation to where the lights, the camera, the action is on them, sometimes they fold. And so we never know. And I can't give a prediction, but I just have to say, in order for Caleb to be successful, he would have to use his strengths and cater to his strengths. And I think, it'll be an interesting fight, but I can't predict the winner. So,
cheers, Danny. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, guys. That's Danny's time over and done with. He actually did a little bit more, but that's probably because he's the nicest man in boxing. So thank you very much, champ. And everybody, thanks for your time with Danny. And we'll bring in Emmanuel Tago now.
Okay, so I leave this now? Yeah. All right, cool. Bye, guys.
You guys, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, there you are. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, Peter Khan, Emmanuel's manager, is with us as well. So, guys, hands up for any questions for Emmanuel. But first of all, Peter, you're bouncing from bubble to bubble with Matchroom, right?
Absolutely. Listen, I was in the London bubble with George Kambosos, I guess maybe a month ago for the Selby fight. I got to tell you, you guys have the best bubbles, I think, and the best food so far. So.
Well, yeah, they're not too bad. The London one's nice and plush, I'll tell you that. But obviously, that was a really great win for George, and it's a win in a division that is so vibrant right now. Teofimo Lopez has kind of just blown the whole thing apart. Obviously, our charge, Devin Haney's right there. We've got Campbell Garcia coming up. But where does Emmanuel fit into the scene?
Emmanuel is the best kept secret in the lightweight division. A lot of people just haven't seen him fight yet, so they don't know what to make of it. They just see a guy that's highly rated, but they really don't know who he is. We know who he is. That's why we're so excited about Emmanuel. And in advance of the Selby fight, Emmanuel sparred in excess of 50, 60 rounds with George.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, very competitive, excellent work. He's awkward. He's just got a unique style. And I mean, look, you guys will see him on Friday night.
Great stuff. Thanks, Peter. Thanks for that intro there. Gail with the first question, please. Hello, Gail.
Apologies, folks. We got in quick. Being in the bubble all this year and having fought multiple times in the bubble, do you think it gives you perhaps a bit of an advantage?
So this is Emmanuel's first time fighting in the bubble. He had been off. He was supposed to fight in March, but this is his first experience. I mean, as a team, we've had experience in different bubbles, whether it's been Top Rank or Matchroom. But for Emmanuel, it's his first fight back since really it's been a while.
But for the team, you know how to manage this. I mean, this is not a small undertaking.
Right.
So
yeah.
You've been able to get these guys through it. What does it take?
Look, I would love to tell you that it's been difficult, but I think it's actually been, in a way, it's been great because it just keeps everybody very focused. So, less distractions. Look, I'm sensitive to COVID, obviously, but it kind of keeps things really tight, really close. I think, preparing them for fighting without an audience has been the biggest thing. Feeling like they're going into almost like a gym environment, a very sterile kind of cold environment with no crowd. But everybody's, been mentally prepared for that. And, we've just conveyed the experiences we've had with the different fighters that we've worked with, and the other fighters have come back to camp and expressed those same things. So right now, I mean, we've had nothing but positive experiences.
Emmanuel, do you feel mentally prepared, since the actual training is probably not too different once your gym is safe? But how's that mental preparation been for you?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank Almighty God. After that, I want to thank good opportunity for me. I'll showcase myself to everybody know, say 135, I'm the best, because I'm the best in secret. By now, I'm come out.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Cornerman next, please.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. So, Tago, your camp is calling you the best kept secret. You come from Accra, Ghana, which has been home to many world champions. What do you want the world to find out about you Friday night? And how do you feel you will compete against some of the current champions in the lightweight division?
Yes, Friday night, everybody can feel happy because, Emmanuel Tego, my nickname is Game Boy. If you come or if you watch, you clap yourself to round one, to any round. I can stop. I can decide to stop my opponent. Maybe if I see my opponent and Thursday, I tell everybody, say I stop my opponent, maybe round 1 or 2 or 3. By now, I can't decide, but I promise all of you, I do my best. I do my best. You like, you have fun, you enjoy my fight.
Right. And to just finish that, how do you feel you will compete against some of the current champions in the lightweight division?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel, because 135, I don't scare anybody. I don't see anybody can beat me in 135, because now I'm calm like Kakai, because Kakai. I think Kakai. I'm calm like Kakai because I'm big Ghana for a long time. Nobody don't know me here. Now I come. That's why I told everybody, say I thank Peter Khan, I thank Dubela, I thank to my coach. Now he gave me this opportunity to come here to express myself to everybody know, say this guy 135, nobody can beat me. By now, I'm from dark to calm. Like, I don't know the way, like everybody can happy.
All right. Thank you so much. I wish you the best for Friday night.
Okay, thank you.
And Shane, please.
Hello, Emmanuel. How are you?
Fine, good. You?
Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you very much. You made your debut back in 2004. So fast forward 16 years, and now here you are, a big opportunity on a televised card in America on the cusp of a world title fight. Has there been any moments throughout your career where you felt as if this moment was never going to happen?
Okay.
So did you feel, because you've been fighting since 2004, you started young, and it's been a long journey, have there been times since you've mostly fought in Accra and that you thought maybe you would never get the opportunity to fight for a world title? Were there times over the years where you felt that this would not be possible?
Yeah, I think this time around, I think correct time for me, because now I think I get correct people around me. Now I think I prove myself to anyone in trust me or anyone in watch me for far. Now I think good time for me.
What keeps you motivated and hungry to keep fighting?
What motivates you? What inspires you to keep fighting?
Yeah, I think me sometimes I don't know the way I put this thing. Like, I feel that 135, nobody can beat me by anybody he claim, say, like, me king. Now I come to show everybody, say, these people in 135, nobody can beat Emmanuel Tego.
And I think also what he's asking is it your pride in Ghana? Is it your family? Like, what has motivated you? What keeps you excited to fight?
Yeah, because my kids, my family members, my brothers, like everybody motivates me. Now Pirakan, my promoter Dibella, my coach motivates me. Pira take me to here. I see everything is here. I see, so okay, that's good for me. But I think everything motivates me, told me, say, hey, Tego, what I can do, I think good.
So a year ago, November was the first time he ever came here for a training camp. And it was the first time he had an opportunity to train differently than he was used to training in Ghana. And look, there's some of the best fighters in the world have come out of Ghana. We know that. But the environment in which Emmanuel was training, whether it was just everything about it, from the sparring to the strength and conditioning, to the discipline, to the nutrition, when he came here a year ago, it sort of opened his eyes. And we did a full camp. He was supposed to fight Ray Perez in March, got canceled because of COVID just days prior to leaving. He went back to Accra, came back, put in another camp. And I think so for him, like that's what he's trying to say. Like it's kind of given him like a different look at his career.
Different level, different experience. I think good for me.
That's great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Emmanuel, John here, Pro Boxing Fans. I have one question for you and one for Peter, if I'm able to. For you, Emmanuel, you mentioned sparring George Kambosos Jr. We saw him beat Lee Selby in London a few weeks ago. What was that experience like, sparring with George?
It's good. Because me, I spar with a lot of boxers, a lot of people, a lot of champions. I get a lot of experience. By me personal, my experience or my gift that God give me only boxer. I'm no fight amateur. I'm no learning boxing before I come to fight boxing. By me, my style different, my everything different. If you ask my sparring partners, he told you about Emmanuel Tego. I think every boxer, I respect every boxer. If I spar with every boxer, I respect that boxer. But I think I'm the best in 135.
What did you feel when you sparred with George? So here's a quick little story before I tell you that. So a year ago when he came,
that's why I told him, say, everybody, George good.
Right.
Everybody good. My experience, I think good.
Right. So when he first came here, George was getting ready to fight Mickey Bay at Madison Square Garden.
George sparred with me. He said, hey, this guy crazy because fight, spar like any boxer like me before, fight any boxer like me before. But I think George is my gym-mate. I don't want to talk much, but I think this Friday, everybody can know the kind of boxer you mean.
So when they first met, George didn't want to like Emmanuel. He didn't want to like him because they're so close in the ratings. And, if you've seen George, he has a very particular personality, very, type A, very confident. He didn't want to like Emmanuel. And so Emmanuel doesn't care. He's just easygoing with everybody. So the first time they spar, it was like a war. And this is just a few weeks before George is fighting Mickey Bay. I was terrified that someone was going to get knocked out, but they were both trying to basically stake their claim. But then over time and a couple of camps, they've actually become pretty close. And Emmanuel really helped George prepare. And I think George helps him with a come forward aggressive style. So it's been really good work it's really good when you can have guys of that caliber being able to compete with each other.
And that was sort of my question for you, Peter. You've got two lightweights competing, high up in the division. How are you planning on guiding both of them to a world title shot? And in George's case, with him mandatory for Teofimo Lopez, has there been any discussions at all? I mean, there's talk of a fight in Australia.
Yeah. So to answer your question, yes. Right now, all parties involved are talking about that. And there's going to be a proposal that's going to be presented to Top Rank that would express, what it would take to bring the fight to Australia. Teofimo's on board. Obviously, George is on board. And it's just a matter of everybody being on the same page and the money being what everybody, meeting everyone's expectations. And then the other part of that question is we pursued the IBF path with George. And if you remember, Emmanuel was ordered by the WBO to fight Ryan Garcia for the mandatory. And the minute that Garcia chose to fight Campbell, the WBO mysteriously decided that they weren't going to have a mandatory or an eliminator again. So, we were ready to fight Dennis Berinchek. We'd even spoken to them. We were prepared to do that fight. And that just sort of went away. So right now with Lee Selby probably no longer sitting in that number one position in the WBO and Ryan Garcia fighting Luke Campbell for the WBC, that leaves now Dennis Berinchek and Emmanuel as the two highest rated fighters. So I'm confident that with the victory on Friday, keeping Emmanuel active, we're going to go down that path with the WBO. But if there's an opportunity to fight Devin Haney as an optional in the WBC, Emmanuel's rated in the top 10 in the IBF, WBO, and WBC. So we're prepared to fight anybody.
Yeah.
Great. Best of luck Friday.
Thank you.
The boxing source, please.
Good afternoon there, Emmanuel. Given that you're fighting Mason Menard here, who has experience against either current or former world champions in Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, and Ray Beltran, what statement are you going to try to make here against Mason Menard that puts you in that position to later on fight for a world title?
Yeah, I think my opponent, fight somebody like me before, forget about Teofimo, forget about this and this and this, and current world champion and former world champion. I don't care because me, I'm the Emmanuel Tego. I don't know Teofimo, no
Devin Haney.
David Haney. This now Emmanuel Tego. You fight to Emmanuel Tego. Me, I don't care Teofimo because me, I know say Teofimo can fit me, Teofimo can beat me, Teofimo can stand me. That I don't know the way I put my language, but if you die every day, everybody see. I don't care any boxer he fights for before, I don't care because me, I don't know. But I think Friday everybody see the Tego, everybody see Emmanuel.
And you've watched the video of him fighting Devin Haney. You've seen the fight against
David Haney. Me, David Haney, I beat David Haney. I beat Teofimo. By now, if I'm talk, some of boxers talk blah, 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 do. But I think from Friday, everybody can judge me.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. I think if there's no more questions, we'll let Emmanuel and Peter go. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. And it's great to have you here. And we're looking forward to Friday night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, we're just waiting for Nikita Ababi to join us. So if you just bear with me a few moments, I'm going to go and check on where White Chocolate is. Thanks, guys.
Ask him. They could put London straight into tier 3, which would mean we have no crowds. Obviously, if it falls into the tier 2 category, then we would be able to have 1,000 people at Wembley. To put in February, right?
With a plaque, that's going to make me satisfied. I put in that work. It's not in the sport of boxing.
Thank you, Danny, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Dear, please.
Abilities does Gabriel Rosado possess that?
Okay, guys, he should be joining us shortly. Keep an eye on Kevin Rooney's.
Be ready for
Kevin
whatever
Rooney's
Gabe
screen
Rosado
there.
shows
Kevin's trying to make a comeback secretly and not tell
Thanks,
us.
Danny. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
He will be sat down imminently.
You could just sit down. We're a few days away from. You don't have to constantly. Otherwise, you wouldn't.
Extremely
awesome.
To be
Here he is, guys. Thanks for joining us,
problem.
Nikita. Cheers for coming down, man.
How's everything?
Excited when
All
she
good,
hears
bro. All good.
champions.
How are you finding this? How are you finding the bubble?
Oh, the bubble. Oh, it's good. It's
Cheers,
the
Danny.
same
Best
thing
of
from
luck.
last fight. You just got to go along with it, right?
That's it, mate. It is a bit Groundhog Day. What have you brought with you? Have you brought a console with you or something?
Yeah. I brought my Switch, my Nintendo Switch. I didn't bring my PlayStation because I'm not sure if the Wi-Fi is good here or like the TV is good here, but it's pretty good here. I should have brought it.
Cool. So, guys, yeah, let's line up. I've got some questions lined up already from you guys, which is great. But yeah, we'll fire away first with Donna, with Nikita Rababi fighting for the 10th time in the paid ranks on Friday night, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it, Donna.
Hey, Nikita, how's it going?
What's up? How's everything?
Not too bad. I wanted to ask about your experience fighting in the bubble. You've been in there once before. How do you think that's going to impact you coming into this bout on Friday night?
The first time it caught me really unexpected. But this time, it's I'm more prepared. We brought a lot of stuff with us from home, to help us with, training in our room in the bubble. And the food here is actually so much better. I remember the first bubble, I was barely eating, and losing so much weight. But now, the food here is amazing. We got the room service here, food from the restaurants downstairs. It's going pretty good. I'm not complaining at all.
I remember you were on the card last year for this YouTuber boxing event about a year ago. This last couple of weeks, your pal Jake Paul is fighting again this weekend. Will you be watching on Saturday night at this incredible Mike Tyson Roy Jones card?
Yeah. So I'm fighting Friday, and I fly back Saturday. I'm probably gonna be home around 3:00, so I'll actually make it to watch the fight. Yeah, of course, I'm excited. I'm rooting for Jake, and it's gonna be I'm really excited for Mike Tyson and Roy Jones fight.
How do you think Jake's fight's going to go, and how do you think Mike Tyson's fight's going to go?
I think Jake is gonna win because Nate never fought before. It's I understand he's like an athlete, ex-pro athlete, but getting hit in the face is different than dribbling a ball. And with the Roy Jones and Mike Tyson fight, I'm rooting for Roy Jones because he's my favorite fighter, and I hope he boxes the whole fight, all 10 rounds.
Thank you very much for your time, man.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How you doing, Nikita?
What's up, man? How's everything?
Everything's great, man. So, you're part of this new generational wave of very talented New York City fighters coming into the boxing. What do you feel separates you, though, or makes you special from the others?
Just my image, my message. All these fighters, they look like actual fighters. Buzz cuts, mean, mugging, and everything. But I look like a TikTok boy. Like what am I doing in the ring? But when people see me in the ring, they respect me so much more. Never judge a book by its cover. So, I feel like I'm really, really different. I just stand out a lot more than all these fighters. That's what I believe.
Right. Now, you've been very active, going into your professional career. Do you look to keep up this momentum going into 2021, or are you, as the fights get tougher, do you look on, taking longer breaks and stuff like that?
Just, I'm going with the wave, going with the flow, whatever happens. But if we got the momentum going, we're going to keep it going. If we're, if we need to take a step back a little bit, we're going to take a step back. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So, we're just, we're doing everything smart. So, we're just going first we take care of one step and then we go into the next step. So right now, the first step is taking care of Friday, getting that knockout, right?
Right. Thank you, champ. Thank you for your time. Wish you the best.
Thank you.
Matt, please.
This is Matt for Behind the Gloves. Cheers for joining us, Nikita. For those who don't know, can you just explain to everyone and to the fans where your nickname came from? White chocolate.
The real story is I'm white and chocolate from the waist down. I'm joking. That's my story. But where it came from is I grew up in a rough neighborhoods. I'm the only white kid in all the gyms. I'm like a light bulb there. So sparring and I was lighting this kid up, and they were like, "Yo, this white kid, he got rhythm, he got style. He knows how to move. Call him White Chocolate." And just from there, everybody just it stuck with me.
Which fighter did you look up to before coming into the professional game? Was there a specific fighter that inspired you to make that step to become professional, or just to start boxing in general?
Well, I started boxing at a really young age, so I never really kind of looked up to anybody. It just kind of my dad put me in, and it just happened. I was young. I didn't really understand what was happening. Sorry for that. You know, I was really young, just going along with the flow. But as I was getting older, I understood that I'm a fighter, that, you know, this is my sport. And so, yeah, I really didn't have nobody, you know, I guess I liked, you know, Roy Jones Jr., Manny Pacquiao, but they, you know, they're not the reason why I started fighting. You know, I just started fighting because, you know, I'm a born fighter. And yeah, just, you know, that's why I started fighting.
Out of the current champions in the middleweight division, who do you regard as number one? And if you could pick who to face, who would it be?
Number one, I don't really watch nobody. I watch myself. But, you know, in the future, I would love to fight Canelo, I don't really have no names on top of my head. I don't watch nobody. You know, whoever comes, you know, in a year or two, whoever I'll fight, take the title from them or defend, you know, it's going to happen. So I'm just worried about myself right now and, you know, getting up there first to the ranks.
Good luck Friday. Cheers, Nikita.
Thank you.
Matt from Behind the Gloves.
Hey there, Nikita. How's it
Matt
going?
From Behind the Gloves.
What's up, man? How's everything?
What I wanted to know is,
Doing good.
have you had a response
How's the
from the
adjustment
government
been
with the
from
letter?
last year in 2019? You know, having about 6 fights to here in 2020
Right,
only
those
being
sports.
involved in like 2 fights. Like, have you like kind of changed your
We're not
regimen up
asking
as far
for
as
any
like
help. We'll be
training,
okay.
or has it been basically the same, just being in the ring for 2 fights this year?
Oh, no, it's the same thing. You know, there's no changes. Just Corona, you know, kind of slowed things down. But, you know, everything is still the same. We're just stepping up the training. That's pretty much the only difference. And
Thanks, Danny.
taking it more
YSM
serious
Sports
because, you
next,
know, when
but
I
let's
started
keep these next
2019,
three.
you know, I was 1-0, 2-0.
Thanks,
Now
Danny.
I'm 9-0, you know, and just going up from there. But, you know, everything's still the same. We're taking training more serious and, you know, just going up from there.
YSM Sports next, but
True. How is the contrast being in Brooklyn in comparison to like
you tried to
Virginia?
negotiate
Being at
Callum
Virginia
Smith.
is kind of a little bit of a change of pace, you know, a little bit slower than being in
Wait,
Brooklyn.
what do you mean? What do you
Easy is
mean,
the wrong
Richmond,
word.
Virginia? Like, because
What's that?
what do you mean, Richmond,
YSM
Virginia?
Like,
Sports.
like you've been around the Virginia area, correct?
Well, I was born there for like one day.
Oh, one day, and then so
No,
you just went
yeah.
straight
Like,
from.
yeah, that's crazy. You know about that, but no, I was born there for one day, so you know, I was literally born there and went back to Brooklyn. So, you know, I only know about Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, okay, gotcha. No problem, man. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey, Nikita. John here, Pro Boxing Fans. You all right?
Yeah, how's everything?
Yeah, good. Has the professional ranks gone pretty much as you expected? You're, you know, a very good amateur. You're now 9-0. You know, what have you made of life in the professional ranks so far? And you fought in some of the best venues already. So, yeah, how do you sum it up?
I didn't expect it at all, to be honest. You know, when I was going in, I had no idea what was going on, what I'm getting myself into. I just knew, you know, no headgears, 10-ounce gloves, and just fight. But I didn't know it was going to be this crazy. It's like, you know, everything's going so quick. It's like a movie, fighting in the craziest venues. I didn't expect, because I seen a lot of fighters, they start off their first 3 fights, 4 fights, they fight in like basketball courts and, you know, like just like beat up places, but just every fight is, you know, big venues, big stadiums is just, you know, unexpected. I didn't expect none of this. So, you know, it's a crazy adventure that I'm just going along with.
What does victory on Friday night do for you and your career?
What it does for me, just, you know, moving on to the next, you know, one step closer to my dream, my goal, and, you know, just one step closer for everybody to know my name.
Cheers. Best of luck Friday.
Thank you.
Again, thanks so much for taking time to talk to us. You know, you mentioned at the very start that they brought in your switch in here. You know, I was talking to Michael Conlon before his first fight in his bubble. He was talking about bringing in his PlayStation and having a more relaxed atmosphere during fight week compared to how it was pre-pandemic. And that's something that you're also kind of noticing, that there is a more relaxed, more chill atmosphere, you know, when you're not dealing with media workouts or any of the obligatory fight week obligations here in the bubble.
I guess, yeah, you know, it's a little bit more relaxed. But yeah, it's just, you know, I remember before it's hard to think about how life was before because it just changed so quickly, and everybody's adapting to it. So it's like me thinking about before Corona, how everything was. It's kind of like I can't it's like was it really like that? Because life just literally flipped so quickly. So it's like just imagining us walking without a mask, in the public is like unbelievable. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we're gonna be walking with masks now forever. Who knows, right? So yeah, it's a little bit more relaxed. Yeah, I'm a gamer. I always gamed, always recorded, always boxed my whole life. So just even before Corona, always brought my Switch, always played it. But no, before Corona, there was no Switch, I think. So yeah, I'll always play my PS4, always all that. But yeah, did I answer it?
As far as that you mentioned, just life just kind of turning on its head, just because of the coronavirus. Did it feel easy, after that first fight, and when you kind of were starting to prepare for this next upcoming fight? Did it feel like it was, something that now just kind of seems secondhand nature, that you kind of already know what the deal is, prepare with gym restrictions and COVID regulations in place? Does it now feel like it's now becoming a new normal instead of something that you're just gonna have to deal with?
Yeah, so the first time, when I fought in August, it was everything, I had no experience fighting during COVID. So, everything was so weird. I remember always comparing everything that I'm doing new, I always compared it to like the old. But this is the second time I'm here, and fighting in the bubble. And it's like a normal, it's like a norm now. It's, I already know that, I can't leave this, I can't leave my room, I can't do this, can't do that. And, it just feels, I don't know, it feels normal to me. I'm not complaining.
Lastly, has the pandemic sort of maybe changed how you view maybe what your goals are for 2021 or your project your development as a fighter with, with fights kind of being a little harder to make with everything that's been going on?
It's just the training. I just, our gyms, they close now at 8, I think, or 7. Before I used to train, twice in the gym every single day. Now I'm training only in the morning and then training, with my dad, either outside or inside my home.
You mentioned because of the weight.
But, it's just the training. I feel like everything else is the same. Fights are still happening. We're going to be fighting, and everything is the same. It's just, I just hope they fix something with the gyms, so it could be easier to train at the gyms.
Thank you, and best of luck in your next fight.
Gloves on and risk their lives. Where we did.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Carlos.
Hey, Danny,
thanks, Nikita. Cheers for coming down, man. That's great
so much.
to have you on. And yeah, thanks very much. And number 10 on Friday night, and then the massive 2021 ahead.
Potential future.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Cheers, guys. Okay, Danny. Nikita's about to let Danny R take that seat.
You can take it off, yeah, that's fine.
It's great to have you here, Danny. As you guys can tell, we're doing the media day here. So Danny R's just broken off from his photos to join us to do some questions, and he's got his manager Zia with him as well. So, but first of all, it's obviously it's a big step up this weekend. It's one that you've been waiting for.
Это большой шаг, да, большой бой для тебя, говорит, в пятницу. Что ты можешь сказать об этом?
Yeah, this is big step up for me. Good, change the level. I hope I will be good fight, great fight. Julius Ntaga, lot of experienced guy, a former 2-time world champion. He have 4 championship fights, and good fight for me. I'm very happy.
Hey, good afternoon, Danny. How you doing, champ?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, man. Now, as we know, you fought several experienced fighters, but now you're going in, I believe you're first former world champion. Just how do you feel going into this matchup, and how prepared are you for this
Был
moment?
хороший гайд, в принципе, бояга, но это твой первый чемпион мира в прошлом. Как ты чувствуешь себя?
I feel great. I feel good. I'm very happy, very excited for this fight. This fight will be good, great, and interesting fight for fans, for people.
Right. Now, how soon are you ready? Do you feel you're ready to compete for a world title?
Ты думаешь, что ты уже готов бороться за чемпионские титулы, за мировые?
I think after this fight, we will know. I'm ready, or I think, yeah, I think ready.
All right. Thank you, champ. Wish you the best on Friday night.
Thank you so much.
Question from Gail, please.
Good afternoon, Danny. You are in one of the most competitive weight divisions in boxing, in all of boxing.
Yeah.
How do you look at the division as you move up, assuming you get past this fight and win this weekend? There are a lot of big names. How do you see yourself against that very difficult competition?
Ты очень в соревновательном весе, да, в твоем весе очень много. После этого боя в пятницу, что ты думаешь? То есть как ты видишь себя уже в этом дивизионе против таких больших боксеров, так грубо говоря?
First of all, I think I'm a tough guy too. Very tough, you know. Very skilled. I have a power and speed. Experience in amateur career, you know, 2-time Olympian, world champion. Little bit I need learning, first of all, for these years. 2 years. Now I think I'm ready for big fights, big names. I hope so.
I have to compliment your English. It's excellent. It's very good.
Thank you. I try. I'm gonna try.
You do more than try, I'm sure. How have you been learning English? And you're doing well, really well.
I don't know. I think so. Still not so good, but I try. I'm just internet, you know.
Life experience.
Yeah, life experience. in the gym, for talk with coaches, with people. That's it.
Good luck to you, and we wish you well this Friday.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Danny, John here from Pro Boxing Fans. Hope you're well. You're obviously one of the standout amateurs in sort of, I don't know, the last sort of 5 years or so, and you've moved to the professional ranks now. What do you say is the biggest difference between the amateur game and the professionals? And how quickly do you want to be moved up to, you know, the top of the welterweight division, where we know is some of, you know, the biggest names in boxing right now?
Ты как один из лучших любительских боксеров последних 5 лет. Что самая главная разница, что является самой главной разницей между профессиональным и любительским боксом? И ты как быстро ты хотел подняться к большим боям с большими именами? Про любителей скажи, хочешь, разницу?
I think just in professional, a lot more rounds. This is first of all, and different gloves, you know. Yeah, different base, different, more blood, I think.
And more business.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right, more business too. Ну, я думаю, что мне сильно меняться не нужно было. В принципе, при своей базе остаться и дальше просто некоторые вещи, фишки научиться. В принципе, для этого и мне это время нужно было. И сейчас, я думаю, после этих боев я все лучше и лучше и ближе к большим боям приближаюсь.
Well, I didn't try to change too much things in my skills. I just add on some professional stuff in it. And I think that now I'm closer to big fights. Now I'm ready for these big fights pretty much.
Can I ask you who you think's the best at the weight at the moment?
Pardon?
Who he thinks the best in the division is currently?
Who is that? Him, you mean? Daniel?
Yeah, who does he think the best?
Лучше сейчас в дивизионе.
Лучше всех в мире?
Yeah, no?
Лучше всех в мире.
На английском постарайся,
Да.
просто постарайся, не волнуйся.
I need to. We need to know for I'm a best or no. I need to. We will know. Stay with the fight. I need to fight with these guys, and after we'll know who I am.
Best of luck Friday.
Thank you.
Старайся говорить, что знаешь, говори, что я буду подсказывать.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, guys. We've got Gabe Rosado with us very shortly. So, Daniel, thank you so much for your time. Zia too.
Thank you. Thank you. See you.
Thanks so much, guys. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, folks, just waiting for Gabe to join us. It should be with us very shortly. Thank you.
So the Google Doc is really. I think one more thing, basically. I was gonna say the title. I didn't do Google Doc. Yeah, I was just saying. I think Dustin created a new Google Doc. Our Google Doc was perfect. Yeah. What does it show? Because, so I want to just know what is it? He's meant to be here at 2:15. 2:15. Because this says 2:45. Yeah, it ends at 2:45. Okay. Is he on his way? Yeah, we're getting him now. So he was originally 2:15 to 2:45. This one says 2:45 to 3:45. What's that? Gabe Rosado. Yeah, Gabe Rosado Zoom into 2:15. So he should be there. Yeah, because the reason is like
Okay, and I have Daniel Jacobs here. William.
How you doing? Oh, thank
Okay, and I have Daniel Jacobs here. William.
okay.
How you doing, champ?
Go now. So, Gabe, you're in there, bro. Hey guys, thanks. Thanks for coming down, Gabe.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you, man. Thanks for coming. Cool. Let's crack on with the questions then, folks. I just sent you the order. So, Jonathan first, please.
Hey, Gabe. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, all good, thanks. All good. Obviously, we know it's been a bit of a grudge build-up between you two. just briefly explain why there is this bad blood, if you can.
I mean, I just think it's a competitive thing. You know, we've came up at the same time. You know, I'll probably have a year more than him as a professional, but 2007, 2006, pretty close. And it's just a fight that should have happened a while back, but I guess the timing is perfect for now. So it's just it's going down on Friday.
And lastly, why do you think you beat Daniel Jacobs? Only 3 defeats on his record, most recently to Canelo. Why do you think you'll beat him on Friday?
Yeah, I think at this point in my career, experience factor, is there, and I think it comes down to just Will, who wants it more. I think he slowed down a bit, and it just comes down to who's hungry, who really wants it.
Thanks for speaking to myself and Pro Boxing fans. Best of luck on Friday.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, go for it, Matt.
This is Matt for Behind the Gloves. Thanks for joining us, Gabe.
Hey, how you doing, man?
You're now working with legendary trainer Freddie Roach. What has he brought to your team, and how do you think he's going to improve you as a fighter come Friday night?
I just think Freddie, what he adds to me is just that work ethic. I've always worked hard, but with Freddie, it's a game plan that we work on consistently every day. And it's just that mental focus. Staying locked in, staying focused on what's at hand, and it's just strictly business. So I think Freddie just keeps me locked in. And I'm just ready.
Do you think that Danny's made a huge mistake in choosing to fight you at this point, and that he's maybe overlooking you and looking at maybe the losses you've got on your record and thinking you're a stepping stone for him to get another world title shot?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's how he's looking at it. And, my job is to give him a rude awakening. I'm not going to fight him like I'm a challenger. I'm going to fight him like I'm there to win. I'm in this to win it. I'm not in this to make it to the 12th round and say 12 rounds with Danny Jacobs. I'm in it to try to take him out of there. If I don't get a knockout, to hopefully win decisively on the scorecards. But I want to give him a rude awakening and just let him know, like, you thought this was a tune-up fight, but you're in a real fight now.
And finally, do you think that you're able to go to a different place mentally, and you're more mentally stronger than Danny coming into this fight? And do you think you'll be able to take him maybe into deep waters where you'll really have to, dig out performance?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of that has to do with the camp with Freddie, sticking to a game plan, hard sparring, with top fighters, young, strong fighters, 2-3 at a time. I think just that grueling type of training camp that we had and that mental focus is definitely going to prepare me to just, be ready for whatever come Friday. So I think that's definitely going to be an advantage.
Right. Cheers. Thank you, Gabe.
Thank you. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's good, Gabe?
Hey, what's up, bro?
Hey, is it more pressure on for you to meet or exceed your own expectations, or to show that you were deserving of this fight? Danny mentioned earlier that maybe he shouldn't be fighting a guy the caliber of you. That's his words.
Yeah.
Which is greater for you?
Man, I think for me, it's what keeps me hungry right now is just, to put myself in a position to get a world title. I think I've been in big fights, and I think, just the schedule that I've had and the type of fighters that I've fought back to back, is a difficult schedule for anyone, right? So it's just one of those things that make it break you. For me, I just kind of took that time to just reflect on it and how can I get better? So, going into this fight, the way I see it is like I'm really not focused on what Danny could do. It's more about what I could do, and me just mentally being prepared to just bring out the best of me. Obviously Danny, with his skills, he's definitely gonna, you need a dance partner. You need somebody that's gonna bring that out of you. So Danny's definitely that guy. So I think it's definitely gonna be a great performance for me. Just locking in the way everything is.
What's been the major takeaway from you mentioned the series of fighters that you've faced, the decisions and outcomes in those situations, the preparation, whether you learned anything there. What have you gained most that will allow you? I thought I saw the comment from you was you plan on humbling him. What out of all of your recent experiences will allow you to do that?
Yeah, I think sometimes you get caught up and feel yourself too much, you know what I mean? And you don't put the work that you think you're putting in. You think you're going hard, but you're really not. You know what I'm saying? And I think, that's just how I read Dan right now. I think Dan's in a situation where he's feeling himself. He's looking past me, and I've been there before, mentally. So I understand that. And I know that at this point in my career, you can't afford to make any error, any mistake. If you're not feeling like putting in that road work, you better put that road work in. You better suck it up. If you don't want to do 8 rounds sparring that day with 3 different guys, you better suck it up. And it's just me kind of just going along with whatever my trainers needed and whatever I had to do to, to be victorious. Now I don't know if Danny's mind is there. He's there right now in this moment.
Last question. What's your reaction to him? He's feeling better at 168. We've seen him get one fight in at 168, look pretty good against Chavez. What's your reaction to his thoughts of being at 168 and operating at optimal performance?
Yeah. Well, we both moved up at the same time, obviously with age, the weight cut is a lot difficult, metabolism changes, things like that. Get bigger, put more muscle on. So, I feel better at 68, Could I make 60? I could, but I don't know if I'll be as strong as I feel now. So, 68 definitely more comfortable. So I can see where he feels more comfortable at 68 as well. But at the same time, it could be that he feels too good, where he's probably not putting in as much work as he should when he had to make that 160. So we'll see. We'll see on Friday.
All right. Best of luck to you, man.
Thank you.
Hey, what's going on, Gabe? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, bro?
So I got a question, man, directly from the fans. I asked Danny the same thing. With all the bad blood leading up to this fight, what are the chances that after you guys settle your differences in the ring, that you guys can just shake hands and just move forward as professionals?
It's not no hate thing for me. Like, I don't hate the man. For me, it's more of I just want to prove that I'm better than him. So it strictly really comes down to just this performance, right? I don't got no ill will against him. I don't wish nothing bad against him. So, I have no problem after the fight. So, but, there's been a lot of things said going into the fight that, I don't like. I feel like I said, I want to humble him. I want to shut him up for the things he.
Right. I mean, you always involved in a fan-friendly fight, man. I can't wait for Friday night.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, champ. Best wishes.
Sure. No doubt.
The boxing source next, please.
King Gabe Rosado, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's up, man?
Doing good. Given that you're, coming out of Philly and Danny's, coming out of Brooklyn, like, how is that having that Philly-New York type of rivalry going into this particular fight?
Yeah, it's dope. It's a fight that could have easily sold out in New York, Philly or whatever, but under the circumstances, it's playing out the way it is. But it's a big fight. I fought in Brooklyn. I've headlined in the Barclays Center. Fought in Madison Square Garden, so I got a big fan base out there. Being Puerto Rican, you got a big Puerto Rican population. So, yeah, man, it's rivalry. I fought guys from New York, Sagun Pao and a few other guys. So, the rivalry's real, like as far as a New York guy and a Philly guy fighting each other.
Now, one last question. You've been talking about this, fighting them since like December. Like, how is it to finally culminate in having this fight coming up on Friday?
Well, yeah, here's the thing. They wanted to fight, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like I just came out of the blue and just start, talking about it. It was a fight that after what happened in Phoenix, his team reached out to me and it was like, yo, look, we're gonna make this fight happen. So, I stirred it up. I started instigating the situation just to see if they was real about it. They reached out to me and told me, I was just chilling. And so, the fight was supposed to happen, then the pandemic hit, and now we're here. So at the same time, it was a fight that Danny wanted as well. He had his options to go fight for a world title. I also had my options. I was offered the Billy Joe Saunders fight, but I turned that down because I wanted Danny. And it was the same thing. Danny turned the Billy Joe Saunders fight because he wanted to fight me. So, it was mutual.
Gotcha. Thanks, King, and good luck on Friday.
No doubt. Thank you.
Gabe, Gail Falkenthal in San Diego. Thanks for giving up your Thanksgiving weekend for us, for our entertainment. There's been a lot more discussion again lately. It comes up all the time about keeping the O on the record, not facing the tough fights and criticism from the fans. And also looking over at the mixed martial arts community where this just doesn't seem to be as big a deal. Yeah. And you're one of those guys they're talking about with losses on your records, all to very tough names. And I would love your thoughts on this whole discussion because you're sitting in a seat to know what that's like. Yeah.
No, I just think it comes down to being authentic. I think with the whole O situation, it's just about guys want to fall into the footsteps of Floyd Mayweather. But a lot of guys forget that, they know Money Mayweather, but they don't know Pretty Boy Floyd. Pretty Boy Floyd fought a lot of guys and took a lot of chances against fights that he could have lost. And with me, when I was at 54 and I was ranked #1, I could have fought my mandatory K9 at 54, which I was favored to win, but I decided to move up to middleweight to fight Golovkin, who no one wanted to fight. So I could have protect my record and just say, oh, I'm gonna go this route. And this is an easier route, but I dare to be great. I just chose the Golovkin in the Garden. And I came up short, but coming up short to the fans, they respected it because it was like, man, he had his opportunity to go elsewhere, but he didn't. He chose to be great. He chose to dare to be great. So I think just being authentic like that, the fans can relate to it and they respect it. So I just think fighters just need to be more authentic and just, stay true to themselves. And at the end of the day, fans are going to love them regardless.
I think looking backwards at that fight, we all appreciated a whole lot more than we did at the time.
Thank you.
And now looking forward, you're closer to the end of your career than the beginning of your career. And have you thought a little about your legacy and what you would like your legacy to be when you do retire?
Absolutely. That's what this fight's about. This fight right now is just about legacy. It's about, I know that a win against Jacobs would then put me in a position to then fight for a title. And that's just how I would like to end my career, just with that stamp as a champion, So, this fight is definitely about legacy. That's why it's so important to me.
Well, we know you'll give it. Good luck to you, Gabe.
Thank you.
What's up, Gabe? How you doing? It's Ellie.
Hey, what's up, man?
I'm good. Reporting. You fought Triple G when no one wanted to fight Triple G. You fought Charlo when no one wanted to fight Charlo. Same thing with Lemieux. Same thing with a lot of the fights.
Yeah.
What do you have to do right here to beat Danny Jacobs? What are you gonna do?
Hey, yeah, man. The work is done. We had a great training camp. Obviously now at this point in my career, I have, I may not be as fast as I used to be when I fought, those other names you just mentioned, but I got the experience. I got a great team. I got a great corner. So it's just about listening to my corner and putting in the work.
And then
we had a tough training camp, so we're ready for this fight.
No, absolutely. You gave me an accurate prediction for Kell Brook Crawford. You gave me a prediction for Lomachenko Teofimo. What's your prediction, word for word, for Canelo and Callum Smith?
Oh, Canelo. You know, I think Smith is going to present some problems for Canelo early in the fight with his length, his height, and his size. But I think being that Smith is so tall, I think it gives Canelo an advantage to fight him in the inside and dig to the body and slow him down with body shots. He has a really good left hook to the body. So I think he'll slow down Smith to the body, and then he'll start busting him up top with the left hook. So I think Canelo pulls off a decision, not a knockout, a decision.
And my last question: if you take care of business and you beat Danny, do you want the winner of Canelo Callum Smith?
You know, I'm not even gonna look past Danny right now and say anything on that. You know, my focus is just being present in the moment and focusing on my job on Friday. You know, I can't really look past Danny and say I want this fight. You know, right now it's Danny, and that's just my focus.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, what's up, Gabe? Stephen, KOR to Sports. You've obviously fought some top tier names in your career: Charlo, Lemieux, Triple G. Where does Danny Jacobs rank as far as like motivation wise, like in the gym? You know, getting you up to go to the gym. What is that? Where does he rank as far as all those guys that you fought?
Oh yeah, it's big. You know, Danny's a former world champion. You know, so you know the fight's it's a big fight, and you know it's a fight where you know it adds to my legacy. You know. You know, with when, you know, this is for the underdogs, you know, this is for the blue collar workers, the heart, you know, people that dare to dream and dare to be great, right? So that's what this fight represents. So a win against Danny is huge.
He, when Danny was on, he was talking about, you know, he wanted to make you eat your words and things like that, talking more aggressively than Danny Jacobs normally speaks before a fight. Does that work to your favor? Kind of the fact that he wants to be aggressive. Obviously, you're aggressive. You want to scrap. Does that kind of work out for you, game plan wise? Hopefully.
Yeah, you know, I really don't think anything he brings to the table really is gonna make a difference. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing that Danny could do that I haven't seen. So whether he's aggressive, whether he wants to box, whatever he wants to do is really not gonna make a difference in how I'm gonna feel. I'm just focused on what I gotta do. You know what I mean? So, you know, he says he's gonna make me eat my words. I don't even know what words he's talking about because I just kept it all the way 100 with him. It ain't like I was fabricating anything. I ain't say no lies or anything. So I don't know what kind of words he's talking about.
And lastly, man, for me, your brother and your Philly brother and Danny Garcia is going to be fighting Spence. How do you see that fight playing out? How do you think?
Yeah, man, I love that fight. You know, that fight actually gets me amped up for my fight because I was watching the buildup of the fight last night on Fox, and you know, man, it's a great fight. You know, Spence looks great. Spence looks like the accident really didn't affect him. You know, some people are just built that way. You know, like if you look at Vinny Paz and his story and his accident, how he came back, and you know, so you can't really like focus on the accident because the thing is, like, he doesn't even remember the accident. So it's not like he can have any flashbacks of like, you know, any fear or anything like that. It's like he went through it, he came back, he's strong, he looks solid, his body looks good. So, you know, I think it's just gonna be a great fight. You know, I'm favoring Danny. You know, I think Danny punches a lot harder than people and than what Spence probably expects. So you know, I'm favoring Danny in that fight, but it's definitely a great fight. It's 50-50.
King Gabe, thank you for your time, sir. Best of luck.
For sure.
Hi, Gabe. Just one quick question for me. You guys have been shifting in temperament. 1 minute Danny's hype, 1 minute you're a little hype. Today you're more calm. He's a little more hype and explaining more of what your backstory is between the two of you. What do you think is the biggest difference between the two of you as men?
As men.
Because fighters have dust-ups all the time and they say things to each other all the time. What makes this so personal? What is the biggest difference between the two of you?
You know, I think the thing with Danny is, I think Danny, you know, has a lost sense of reality. I think he's a little caught up in feeling himself a little too much. you know, and I'm just not feeling that, you know. Comments he made about me, you know, the thing is this, I've always get respect wherever I go, you know what I mean? Because I dared to fight big fights and big names, and at times where I really didn't have to. So I've always gotten respect for that. And then for him to just say, oh, you're just this, you're just a journeyman or whatever, you know, I started late. I worked my way up, working graveyard shifts. I did what he didn't have to do as a professional. I worked graveyard shifts. I did this for years, working my way in the rankings, ranking #1 in the world as I worked the graveyard shift. So he don't understand my story. So when he talk crazy like that to me, he don't understand how disrespectful he is, right? So when I say what I say about him, I'm just talking facts. I'm saying real shit. I'm saying, like, look, who was you fighting coming up? I mean, like, the only time when you stepped up, you lost. When you fought Canelo, you lost. When you fought G, you lost. You know, when you fought the Russian dude, you lost. You got slept. If anything, you didn't just lose, you got slept. You know, I was fighting real dudes coming up. I was fighting Soto Karaz, beat him. I was the underdog in that fight. I fought Sagun Pao, his New York mate, right? I knocked him out. You know, Charles Whitaker, Kasim Uma was my first 10-rounder. I beat him. So I was actually fighting champions and beating them when I was coming up. So that's just why I feel, that's what gets me worked up about how he talks about me. So, you know, I feel like I'm just speaking facts, and I feel like he's just talking crazy, and you know, he get caught up in his emotion and his fantasy of whatever he believes, but it ain't real.
So with that being said, what do you think is his best win?
His best win? I would say his best win was but you gotta remember this. When he fought Peter Quillen was having issues, promotional issues. So Peter Quillen was out of the ring for over a year. So he ain't fight you know what I'm saying? He fought a Peter Quillen who was having all these problems. And, you know, he took him out in the first round. You know, anybody could go out in the first round because you cold. It ain't like, you know, it ain't like he punished Peter Quillen for 6 rounds and, oh, that was impressive. It was, all right, he caught him with a good shot in the first round and he took him out of there. That can happen to anybody. But if anything, that's his most impressive win. Other than that, it's like, you know, he's supposed to beat Mora. You know what I mean? Mora was like, what, 38 or older. So it's like, other than that, you know, and it's not to take away from him as a fighter. I still think he's a good fighter. You know what I mean? But I just feel we had different paths and different, you know, it's just a different journey, you know. I feel like mine was just tougher as far as in the ring.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gabe. Appreciate your time.
For sure.
Thank you guys for all the questions, and thank you, Gabe, for joining us. That's your lot for today, folks. Until Friday.
Press conference call.
For sure. We're all good.
Thanks so much, Gabe, and thanks everyone for joining us. And we'll end the call there.
All right, thanks. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
Thank you, guys.